Yan na, we're live.
We're live.
Bruce, pakigalawang baso pag nandyan ka na para alam namin na online na kami.
Yeah. In a few seconds, it's gonna arrive.
Wala pa, binabantayan ko nga eh.
Ayun, hello Bruce.
Meron na?
There it is. Yes.
There he is. Yeah, I see it. I see him. How's everyone tonight? Or how is Bruce tonight? Since si Bruce lang palang tao ngayon.
Hope you guys are okay. Yeah, I'm okay as well. Gonna go back to the province in a couple of days.
Wait, nasa Manila ka ba or nasa
Laguna.
province? I don't understand.
Nasa Laguna.
Nasa Laguna.
But uwi ako ng
bahay,
Naga. Yeah, that's the perk. Yeah, but I'm going home to Naga this Saturday. Ay, Sunday pala. So
sana all tulad ni Emil ASH na maraming property.
yeah. And naghihintay na sa bahay. I bought a new mic and a new camera. So next week you'll see it. You'll see the
Hindi ka
upgrade.
namin finors na bumili ng equipment. Baka
Yeah,
sabihin mo
I
na,
just want
inutusan ka
to.
namin bumili. Wala.
No. Wala po. Like I just want
Kasi
to.
wala rin kaming pang-reimburse niyan.
Yeah, it's a personal investment.
Tama yan, yung mga personal investments. Actually, okay yan. Ako rin, may personal investment din ako na I'll share in a bit. Not tonight. Maybe in a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rose not
Yeah,
yet
but-
here. He's experiencing problems lang with his mic, so he should be hopping on the stream in a bit.
Ayan, good evening to Glendale, Julian. Oh, the regulars are here.
Mga usual suspects natin, nandito na.
Yep. Nung isang araw ko pa pinapakinggan yung Chambea, like for real. Like, it's on
So you've
loop.
never heard the song before?
No, I've never heard it before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, no judging.
Yeah. So, pero like, sobrang dope nung song.
Yeah. I think that was his breakthrough single.
Oh, no surprises there. May question si Ina here. Since this month is Asian Pacific Heritage Month, who is our favorite wrestlers na may Pinoy heritage or Asian heritage? Batista. Batista is up there. He's like the most famous one, I think. So but also we do have also sila yung iba din like Shotzi, Joaquin Wilde. Is her name still Kaden Carter?
Yes.
Kaden Carter.
Di ka nagpe-pay attention sa NXT, ah?
I do, pero like, it was her tag team partner pala who changed names. Yeah,
Katana
the
Chance.
former, Katana Chance. Okay.
Ako to answer Ina's question, it's right now it's probably Robbie Eagles.
Yep.
Because he's a friend of the pod. He's a personal friend as well. Always supportive of us and the things that we do. So, yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, speaking of, abangan niyo yung episode. Ilalabas this weekend, right?
Yes, it should be out this weekend. That's right.
All right. Sabi ni Bruce, favorite wrestler si Raw.
Ba't naman hindi?
Yeah.
Kaso wala si Raw ngayon. So, walang silbi ang pagsipsip ni Bruce. Kasi wala pa si Raw.
Yeah. Okay, it's 10 seconds. Okay.
All right, time to shut up now.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, a.k.a. Austin Creed.
I said give me a hell yeah! Hey, this is Zeta Zay.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Talent is not sexually transmitted.
You need to go back to the drawing board because your game absolutely sucks.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I'm Lewis Howley. I'm Sam Scotia. We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the star, the NXT UK champion, and you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You are watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stancy and Emil ASH checking in for your regular Thursday live stream. Wala pa si Ro, he should be in a bit. Nagkakaproblema lang siya with his mic right now. It's been giving us some issues over the last couple of weeks. So let's see if he's able to jump in the stream midway. In the meantime, how's it going, Emil ASH?
I am doing well. I'm doing fantastic.
Yun lang?
And,
You're doing fantastic, yun lang.
Yeah,
wala na explanation.
Nasabi ko din earlier na in a couple of days, I'll be going back to the province. So it's been a great couple of months here. Daming na-check sa bucket list ko. So I'm looking forward to going home, and I'm also looking forward to the next time na babalik ako dito sa Metro Manila. So.
All right. We've got a lot of stuff going on in the month of May. We just came off of a PLE weekend. But we had Backlash nung Sunday Manila time. Later this month, we're going to have a couple of other pay-per-view/PLEs. One of them being Night of Champions, which is happening May 28th. Manila time, madaling araw basically, because I got my call time for that show. It should be like 11 or 11:30 p.m. It will start, the main show will start mga 1 a.m. Manila time kasi yun yung equivalent ng 8 p.m. Saudi Arabia time. So para sa mga gustong manood ng live with the members of the Wrestling Podcast and our friends at Geek Talk PH, we're actually cooking up a viewing party over at Hobby Stadium. That's our new venue partner for this party. Tickets are already available at snack.ph/geektalkph. Again, that is snack.geektalk.ph. Meron ng early bird rates. So if you want to save a couple $100 pesos on your tickets for Night of Champions, then go ahead and buy your tickets now, or you can show up at the door and just pay full price at the gate. Yes, Julian, puyatan na, walang tulugan, Master Showman, yan ang gagawin natin for Night of Champions. I'm not exactly sure kung meron tayong prizes up for grabs this time around. I think if we could pull some strings, yung mga friends natin at Hobby Stadium might actually make that happen, but we'll see. Wala mo ng guarantees because unlike the WrestleMania viewing party, I'm not the one collecting yung mga prizes this time around. So, yun. Glendale, tama yan. Yung mga nanonood ng viewing parties late at night, zombie mode ka na paglabas mo, di ba? I think I've done that like once or twice. Have you ever done a viewing party like that, Emil?
Yung gabi? No, never.
Mm-hmm. It's an experience. Like, you're gonna come in, syempre, hyped ka pa, excited ka pa, and then siguro an hour or two and you'll be like, fuck, I want to go home kasi your body's just not used to it. But you work at night, diba? So I'm sure you know what that's like.
Yeah, so definitely, if I will be able to experience that late of a viewing party, I think I'll be fine kasi usually gising naman talaga ako at that point of the day, even though it's weekend. So I think I'll be fine.
All right. So again, tickets for the viewing party over at Hobby Stadium for Night of Champions, they're available at snack.ph/geektalkph. I see that Ro is already on the stream. He's sort of resolved the tech issues. Ro, pakigalaw ang baso.
Yeah, I'm here. I will not sound as good as I usually do, so I apologize. I'll be talking as loud as I can, so I hope I'm coming across at least kind of clear.
All right, so we know Rose here. While Rose getting warmed up, Emil, let the good people know how they can continue to be part of our growing wrestling podcast patron community.
All right, so if you want to get the full Wrestling Podcast experience, you can do that by subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/Wrestling Podcast, where you can subscribe for as low as $5 or the local currency. It's around 275 pesos. Madaming perks ang pagsali sa aming Patreon and being a part of our Patreon community. We got the Discord server where you can interact with your fellow podcast and talk to us about anything. Of course, there's wrestling, but you can also talk to us about a whole bunch of stuff like music, memes, sports, fashion, everything and anything under the sun. And we also have the Pasabais, which last one just concluded last month. And if you want to be a part of the next one, which will not be that far off naman, no? And if you want to get your authentic wrestling merch, you could get it through us. And also the review content is also a part of being a patron to our Patreon of the weekly wrestling shows like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, and some local wrestling events as well, courtesy of my fellow ASH Rowan. And by subscribing to our Patreon, you're supporting everything that we do here on the pod. So again, please subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5.
All right,
Bruce,
let's start.
How are you gonna say I'm your favorite Filipino wrestler and then roast me in the next the next comment?
That's show business for you. They love you 1 second and hate you the next.
Sige, go on.
All right, let's start with our first piece of news from outside the ring. So if you were watching Dynamite earlier and you were wondering ano tong big announcement na in-announce ni Tony Khan earlier na hindi pa niya binuo, it's actually referring to AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery reportedly putting together and finalizing a new TV deal worth $1 billion. Now, this is huge news, and the reason why kung nabuo na nga to, hindi pa siya ina-announce ni Tony Khan on social media or on Dynamite, is apparently, according to Dave Meltzer, they're saving the actual announcement for the upfronts next week in New York City. So if you don't know what upfronts are, sorry?
Now you know.
Yeah.
You've been questioning why there was an announcement for an announcement.
Well, announcements for an announcement are always silly, but I'm explaining to the people how upfronts work. So these are events held by the networks themselves, and they're designed to basically bring advertisers in and get them all hooked and interested in upcoming series or TV shows or seasons of existing shows. So for Warner Brothers Discovery, diba, for their channels like TBS or TNT, part ng slate nila yung AEW. So they want to make that big announcement in front of the advertisers mismo. That way they can really drum up some hype, some publicity for this new $1 billion TV deal. Obviously, it's huge for everybody involved.
Yeah, 1 billion is nothing to joke about. One person dati nung sa TikTok, they tried to make fun of WWE's $1 billion deal with, I believe, NBC Universal. And then they said, oh, 1 billion lang yan. 1 billion is 1,000 million. So that's no small amount, lalo na dollars pa, where dollars have a lot more purchasing power than our pesos. Diba? What seems small in dollars is actually a lot of money. So this is a 5-year deal. So AEW is getting $200 million per year from Warner Brothers, right? So that's a lot of money for the boys and girls of AEW. And when you add to that Tony Khan's money from all his sources, so that ng negosyo ng pamilya niya, you can bet that there's a lot of money going around for the really, really deep talent pool of AEW.
Yeah. Just to convert it for everyone in case di pa kayo naniniwala na big deal yung 1 billion. That's like 55.7 trillion pesos.
Yep.
That's more money than any of us will ever see in our lifetimes.
Yeah, and just one guy on TikTok just said that WWE is gonna die in 5 years because they only made $1 billion. So people are stupid. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Ikaw, Emil, may masasabi ka ba about this new deal that AEW is set to announce next week?
This is obviously a vote of confidence by Warner to AEW kasi when yung nag-merge yung Warner Brothers and Discovery, there were a lot of people. There were a lot of skeptics online who were saying that, it's going to be WCW 2.0 once again. If you remember, back in 2001, it was another merger that basically killed WCW. So a lot of people, were having skeptics about that when this merger happened. But turns out the opposite happened. It looks like AEW is going to stay under Warner for a really long time. And this is a good news to everyone, good news to the wrestlers, good news to the fans. there's a comment here by our friend Steven. Now maybe AEW will also shift its pay-per-view model to streaming with their new subscription-based streaming service Max, which they will launch later this month. So baka mangyari yon. So but still way too early, I guess, to say anything. They just announced this deal, so looking forward to hearing more about this deal as we go on.
Actually, di pa nga in-announce eh. Nireport pa lang ni Tito Dave.
Nireport pa lang.
Basta ako gusto ko ng AEW sa HBO Go. So, yeah, that answers Bruce's question. May streaming service ba ang Warner Brothers? Yeah, it's literally Max, the former HBO Max. So, that should be the streaming thing. Kasi AEW is pretty behind on streaming. Like, ROH had streaming before they were bought out by Tony Khan. So, I know that was kind of last on their priority, pero huling-huli sila dun.
Yeah. Speaking of streaming, so diba they had AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation, and they were quietly put to bed a week ago or a couple of weeks ago. Apparently, it's because this deal is set to cover all broadcasted AEW content. So all TV and pay-per-view rights ang bibilhin ng Warner Brothers Discovery. But hindi kasama ang ROH. Apparently, because I guess Honor Club and ROH is really its own separate entity.
Yeah, I think they just really consider kasi ROH was never AEW. Like Tony Khan is the owner, but it was never under AEW. So that's why hindi kasama yung ROH doon sa kanilang sa deal, because it really is its own separate business entity. So that's why, but also that's also why the AEW Dark shows were quietly stopped, because the WBD really wanted all AEW broadcasted content to be on their channels. So if you liked the free wrestling on YouTube, like I did, like some of us did, business has businessed, and they killed that for all of us.
Yeah, that's what capitalism does. All right, let's move on to our next piece of news from outside the ring, and it involves Goldberg and a possible retirement tour. So, merong balita na lumabas this week from the House of Wrestling podcast hosted by Nick Hausman. He interviewed Rick Bassman, who is a promoter, someone who helped make Sting, The Ultimate Warrior, John Cena, and Chris Masters get their start in the business. So, apparently connected itong si Rick Bassman dito kay Goldberg, and he's hinting na Goldberg might actually go on a retirement tour and that he's working on the dates. So, he's also mentioning on that podcast na they're trying to work out a date in Jerusalem in September, or something that could involve Sting, maybe bring Goldberg back for one last run in WWE. So yeah, what do you guys think about this one?
Di pa ba retirement tour yung second run niya with WWE?
Apparently
because
not.
I thought that was, honestly. So
that's a good question. I guess not, diba? So maybe it isn't. And despite what we all feel about Goldberg as internet fans, there are a lot of people who will still pay top money for this, because these people are likely casuals who still think that the Goldberg of 2023 is the Goldberg of 2001 to 2003 or 2004, diba? So medyo nostalgia glasses are working there. But hey, it's gonna be money for him. Obviously the matches are gonna be short because he's Goldberg and he's old. So I guess it's easy money when you're that big of a star.
Yeah, good for you if you're able to make money off of your fame, the height of your wrestling powers in the 90s and 2000s. Just don't expect Bret Hart to show up in support of Goldberg.
Yeah.
Right, we'll take our first break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about Backlash. Teka lang, babyface producer Jasper, mamaya pa, break muna tayo. Let's hear from our other kapodcasts right here on Podcast Network Asia. All right, let's review WWE Backlash from San Juan in Puerto Rico. Sige, babyface producer Jasper, let's put up that slide featuring the Puerto Rican audience, which a lot of people were raving about in the days since Backlash, to the point that apparently may bali-balita na there are some WWE talent who are clamoring for Backlash to be held in Puerto Rico moving forward. So, what did you guys think of the crowd, and did it influence the way that you enjoyed the show?
Okay, Emil, you go first. I have a lot to say about the crowd.
Definitely. Kasi I think another reason why the crowd was like that was because it's been a long time. It's been 18 years.
17 years, yeah.
17,
2006.
yeah. 17 years since the last time they had a show in Puerto Rico. So may effect din yun. Kasi people have been clamoring for this for a long time now. So they definitely, they definitely made up for it with yung wait nila was worth it kasi they really made the event epic, like with their chants and their cheers. And I love how the crowd was really loud from beginning to end. And it wasn't really a smarky crowd, yung mga smarky chants or anything. They just participated in the show, and they really made they made an A show to an A plus show for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm gonna liken this crowd to early PWR. So, early PWR, if you were there for it, I know some of you in the chat were. Early PWR crowds were loud as hell. Even though it was honestly not, we were literally green. We were shitty as fuck. Even the best wrestlers now were not as good as they are today. The crowd made it work. The crowd sold the shit out of us. And then for a lot of people, the atmosphere that those early PWR crowds lent to what was honestly a less than mid show, it made us look like legit stars, And that was the same thing that happened when Backlash came to Puerto Rico. So because of that, it was because of these crowds not being exposed to regular wrestling the way a lot of other cities in the U.S. do, like the way your big markets do, like L.A., Chicago, New York, Florida, whatever have you. Those people, they've seen wrestling over and over. That's why when the shows come back around to them, it's not as big of a deal. But you go to a place like Puerto Rico where the local promotions have only been doing their thing, and you don't get to see the big stars of WWE, diba? Or you go to the UK, to Wales, where you don't get WWE in a big show. You only get them in house shows. Even with AEW, the reason you go to them and you put up a show in Wembley Stadium, the fact that you're coming to them, which they have not seen you in a while, speaks volumes. Diba? That's why they give all their love. So a lot of that is why the show was a success. I don't think you need to make Backlash specifically the Puerto Rico show. You can just do anything, do any show, but it makes sense. It's like having a themed pay-per-view, diba? Like I don't need TLC every December. Just do it when it makes sense. Like same thing for Backlash show.
Yeah. I thought that the Puerto Rican crowd was really loud, and ako nakapang-hype siya sa akin, especially since I came into the show all puyat and everything. Tapos si Carlo was calling the show from Cambodia because he's covering the SEA Games. So may roommate pa siyang natutulog. So yung audio niya parang live mula sa San Juan, Puerto Rico. Talagang napaka-restrained niya, gago. So I had to bring the heat and the energy. Ito po ang WWE Backlash. Putang ina. Wala tayong magagawa kasi trabaho niya yun, di ba?
Glendale comes to us with a good question. Should WWE, and I'll include other promotions in it, like should they hold PLEs more regularly in other countries outside the US? Yes, the answer is always yes. Let's not forget what the first W in WWE used to stand for. There are a lot of markets. Yes, it's costly to put up an entire production, especially a broadcasted production from another country. But these are your international audiences. These are the people that keep your machinery going outside the U.S. And I feel it's only right to reward them with your presence, the presence of the people they've been only watching on TV. And in return, you get all their love and make the show 1,000 times better.
Saka when you have an international market like that, you always got to, you always have to be there for them. Like for example, di ba yung NBA, their market is so big in China that they always have China games every October. So for me, if there's a strong demand for it, they have to give it to the audience. Kasi it will be profitable naman, even though with the higher cost.
Yeah, I agree naman with everything you guys said. I just don't want people to start saying na, oh, baka next niyan, Money in the Bank sa Moa Arena or sa Philippine Arena. Like, okay, let's set our expectations
No.
reasonably and realistically.
Okay, I am sure that the people watching and listening to us are not that kind of wrestling fan that you'll see
Oh, for sure. I'm
in
not
your
accusing
usual comment
our
section.
usuals.
No, yeah, it's fair that our smart listeners, our well-adjusted listeners know that syempre you can't, you have to crawl before you walk, diba? And if you can't pack tawag doon, Moa Arena and Araneta, diba? When there's a live show around, what makes you think that WWE is gonna host I don't know, Night of Champions here? Diba? So you bring the numbers first, and then they'll give you the live show, the broadcast show.
Yeah. So, yun lang. I'm just saying for the people in the comment section, not our comment section, but the other comment section.
I know y'all are fine listeners and viewers.
Oh.
I know that because you listen to us, you are smarter than the average bear.
Set our expectations reasonably and realistically, all right? Now, talking about the show, what was your favorite match from Backlash?
Definitely the Bunny Priest San Juan Street fight, because it had high expectations na coming in, but for me they surpassed all those expectations, and they really delivered. I mean, Damian Priest is a very reliable guy to para to have Bunny be his opponent, and expected na yung interferences, pero somehow we still popped for a few interferences na hindi natin inasahan, like Carlito and Savio Vega, and it really delivered, and I thought it should have been the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll talk about this in a bit. My favorite match was Bianca versus Io, which is my pick of the week. If you heard the pick of the week episode we dropped yesterday, syempre, I will cheer for really great in-ring performances, and I think that was a great in-ring performance that made her stand out from how she was overshadowed in WrestleMania by Rhea versus Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. For me, I'm gonna echo what Emil said. San Juan Street fight. So, he said everything that needed to be said. So I just want to take a moment to call out yung mga nagko-comment sa Disney Plus PH na Facebook page na imbis na si Bad Bunny, si Jason Tatum daw yung kalaban ni Damian Priest. Tangina, kailan naging magkamukha si Jason Tatum at si Bad Bunny? Paki-explain nga.
What? Is that some weird racism thing that I don't know?
I have no idea. Nakita ko na sa Facebook ng Disney Plus. Medyo naulol ako eh. Parang puta, kailan sila naging magkamukha?
Yeah.
Okay, so since we mentioned the San Juan Street fight, people have been debating on Twitter, diba? Which should have been the main event. Is it Cody and Brock because Cody and Brock, or should they have gone with the San Juan Street fight? And if you guys listen to us on the Pick of the Week episode, you know the answer. Pero sige, just probably a more condensed version for the people in the chat who haven't listened to that episode.
Yeah, you have your hometown guy. You have two hometown guys, diba? So this is also one of the biggest artists in the world. So how do you not make them the main event in their home territory? So it's super weird that they got the cold. I mean, they got the motion rather. I mean, they call it a double main event, but as we all know, and as CM Punk would argue, the last match is the main event. So I mean, Cody and Brock were great. I mean, it was a good Brock Lesnar match. It was one of the Brock Lesnar matches that he was really there for, and it was the kind of match that he didn't give Roman Reigns ever. But syempre, iba pa rin yung atmosphere ng Bad Bunny in wrestling in San Juan, diba? Like the people singing along to Chambea alone, that tells me that this should have gone last. It should have been the biggest moment on the show, and it was the biggest moment, but it was not the biggest possible spot on the card. So sayang, yeah, I think it was a big miss. I know they were deliberating on whether it should have gone last. I think they learned their lesson, and that should have gone last. Like, okay, Cody can main event some other day. Diba? He can main event some other show outside of Puerto Rico, but I think that he should have helped gave way for that special moment.
Mm-hmm. So for me, I noticed this may be something that maybe only me who noticed this, but after the street fight, the crowd started to kind of mellow down, and the matches after that were main event caliber, the 6-man tag and the Brock and Cody match. But you could see the crowd wasn't as loud as they were from the beginning of the show until the street fight. So that's when I knew the street fight should have been the main event, because that's what people was waiting for in Puerto Rico. They're excited for their two hometown guys to go at it. So that should have been the main event. For that fact alone. But the crowd was still good from beginning to end. But I kind of noticed na nagmellow down na sila after the street fight. As if na yun lang yung inabangan ng most people who were in that crowd.
I mean, nag-bitjoke party nga kayo eh. So malamang mapapagod kayo after nun.
All right, Glendale's asking, best backlash to date?
I mean, that's recency bias talking. I mean, like, there have been so many backlashes over the past couple of decades, right? So, who's to say, really? But I mean, like, in a vacuum, sure, because the crowd made it so. The crowd was into it. The crowd amplified that atmosphere, made it look really. I mean, it was good. It was really good from an in-ring standpoint, but they really sold the shit out of it. So, sure, why not? I don't like saying something is the best ever to this date, but let's put it up there. Why not?
Yeah. To be honest, like the only backlashes I really remember were yung last year WrestleMania Backlash, yung greatest match ever during the height of COVID, and yung triple threat rematch from WrestleMania 20. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Emil. Did you wanna?
No. I need to think about that, because again, there's so many backlash that happened before. So when I became a fan, I don't think backlash was a thing.
It was not. You're right.
It was brought back nung brand split 2016. So onti lang yung naalala ko, and I don't really remember any of them as being really great. So maybe I will agree with Gunner. This is the best backlash that I've seen so far to this date.
So you're saying that this year's Backlash made it great again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ina has a question here. A comment. Sana pati AEW mag-show sa Pilipinas. As much as I would want that, if you see our comments on TikTok whenever we post AEW, that's not going to do well. The wrestling fans here are drunk on WWE, because WWE is has been the game in town for the past 30 years. So AEW to them is a hard sell, because it really is a second tier promotion to them, even with the former WWE guys, even with CM Punk, diba? So they think that it's lesser because it's not WWE. I mean, part of that might be true, but internet fans like you and I, we appreciate it for what it is. Pero syempre, the casual fan will not come in droves to watch that show.
Marami pang bigas sa kakainin sa AEW here sa Pilipinas.
No, I don't think it's a matter of AEW doing more. I think it's a matter of fans finally, unlearning the fact that WWE is the only worthwhile wrestling game around.
Yeah, very tribalistic din kasi tayo dito sa Pinas, di ba? Na you're only a WWE fan, or you're only an AEW fan, or whatever. So that's another thing that we have to unlearn as a culture.
Yep, definitely.
Sadly.
All right, let's move on to talking about the World Heavyweight Championship. The tournament happened this week, or is happening this week. We got the first half basically over nitong Monday Night Raw when Seth Rollins emerged out of the Raw bracket, like some of you may have predicted. And now you have the SmackDown bracket, which will take place this weekend, Saturday morning Manila time. So for SmackDown, you've got Lashley, Theory, Sheamus, AJ, Edge, and Ray. So, first question really is, dapat bang naging kasama yung rito, yung SmackDown? Should they have been part of this?
Nope. Emil, you go first.
No, because Triple H has already said that this belt, this championship, is exclusive to whatever brand that doesn't draft Roman. So that is Raw. So bakit, sa logic pa lang, like, why are we having these SmackDown wrestlers participate? Especially that we just had the draft a week ago. So I don't know. I don't know why we're getting SmackDown wrestlers on this tournament, really.
Yeah. Yun nga eh. I'll take it even further than that. Yes, we heard that Triple H said it was Raw exclusive, but if SmackDown guys are eligible to win it, and then the title is exclusive to Raw, then ba't pa tayo nag-draft, diba? Ba't pa nag-draft si Fox or whoever was in charge of SmackDown? Ba't pa siya nag-draft ng main eventers, like guys like Rey Mysterio, like Edge? If they can lose them to Raw because the big bosses said that they're allowed to compete for the Raw World Heavyweight Championship, diba? So the draft looks kind of dumb there. So they kind of undermined what they did entirely, and I don't know if that means like sure thing na a Raw guy will win the championship, but I hope so, because I mean, the SmackDown kayfabe authority figure or whoever pulls the strings will certainly hope so. Like if I were them, I'd sabotage my guys' chances of winning this belt, because I'm not sure that they'd allow us to keep it on SmackDown, right? So there's a lot of lack of logic going on here.
Sabi ni Joem in the comments na he read on the dirt sheets
Yes.
that it could be a counter to the NBA and NHL playoffs.
Yes, obviously that's the backstage reason for all of this. Like, yes, we understand. All three of us, you who are listening to this, understand that. I'm talking about the on-screen logic that it inevitably presents because of this network-centric booking decision, diba? So, nagmukha silang tanga.
Yeah, I don't know. I found it weird na there was a SmackDown side of the bracket. Kasi I looked at the Raw roster, kind of like we all did, diba? When the WWE draft finally shook out. And I was like, oh, parang may enough naman on Raw to have a full-blown tournament, even if you don't necessarily fill up like 12 spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They could legit have 8 guys, just have, do a tournament, and that's it. So, di ko alam kung bakit pa kailangan isali yung SmackDown, considering we just had a draft.
Mm-hmm. Edo, question for you guys. We know Seth is the Raw representative, so does the SmackDown representative have a shot?
Yeah, I mean, of course. Like I said, if I were the SmackDown, big boss, I would, hamstring their chances of them leaving my show to go to the other brand. So yeah, there's always a shot. I mean, like, I don't know who I would put there though. I mean, like, would I put Sheamus or would I put Edge? I don't know. But right now, the most ideal, whether you're from SmackDown or from Raw, it's still Seth. Diba? Seth has been ready for this for a while now. He's been more ready than Cody. I think that it is really his to lose.
Yeah, and
go Emil.
And like we have said on this podcast before, or pinag-usapan natin sa Discord, the only way that they can make this title not look like a consolation prize is to have someone who has not interacted with Roman at all over the last year win the title. And I think Seth is that guy. He's like the one. If Roman is 1A, Seth is 1B. So this is Seth for Seth to win.
Yeah, a couple of things. Seth did interact with Roman. He just didn't lose outright kasi DQ yun. Roman is not 1A. Roman is 1.
No, Roman is 1. He is the one. He's the one. But
Hindi nakikinig, Emil.
people are asking, is Roman going to be on the show? Is he going to main event? I don't think he is. It depends. He's coming back this week, diba?
Yes.
Maybe that's going to start a new story, but I think it's not enough time to start a new story. I think Cody, again, it's going to be enough to draw people. I don't know if there's enough time to build up a new Roman match unless they finally jumpstart yung split ng bloodline. Like, I would do like Roman and Solo versus the Usos. That would be great. But I certainly don't think he's doing a World Championship match.
I also don't think yung Night of Champions ngayon is like the Night of Champions of old where every title has to be defended. I don't think that's the case this time around.
No.
Like, if there's a championship match, there's a championship match. Pero kung walang kalaban si champion ABC, di wala talaga.
Hindi rin nila sinasabi on commentary na every championship will be defended. They used to do that. They haven't said that yet, but who knows?
Hey, anything can happen between now and May 28. May 2 weeks pa. So we could be saying those things in about a couple of weeks. Right, this is not a championship match, but definitely is part of Night of Champions because Brock basically challenged Cody to a sequel nitong Monday Night Raw. And he basically explained na rin yung reason niya why he's been going after Cody in the process.
Yeah, I mean, I knew who Brock really was. I knew he was a big baby. He was a big toddler. If any of you in this chat listening to this have a child, a small child, it's pretty much Brock. But he is, 40-something years old and 260 pounds. He is not in control of his emotions. He can't regulate them. He does whatever he wants. He wants everything to be about himself. I knew that. Some people needed more explanation. They needed more justification, and he gave them that justification. He literally said that he wanted everything to be about him. So at least now we know, one pay-per-view match after why this feud is happening. So good for you, but I appreciated that little tidbit of reinforcing who heel Brock really is.
Yeah, and for me, this was Brock's best promo like he cut in a while. Na siya lang, na walang Heyman, walang manager, and yeah, Rose right. He basically reinforces who he is. And I like how we are getting another match between Brock and Cody because it keeps away Cody from winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Like we all feared that he would when this title was announced. So at least he's busy feuding with Brock rather than winning the title, and would literally not be great for his story. So.
Mm-hmm. I was actually surprised na that's how they took Cody out of the tournament, na he would lose the triple threat and that Finn would advance. But I'm not complaining because we got a great match from Seth and Finn, which included a couple of callbacks to SummerSlam 2016 for the then vacant Universal Championship. So I felt it was fitting na there's another vacated world title, nakaka-introduce pa lang, and then Seth and Finn are competing in this very vital match for it. So I really enjoyed that bit of storytelling on Raw.
A lot of callbacks to that match as well. So and they explained how that's how Finn was injured during that title match. Because Seth and Finn has already faced so many times before this, but this is like the first time that they really went all out with the callbacks from that Universal title match in 2016.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It was a good match. I just want to say, like, super elite wrestlers there. You wrestle 2 matches in one night. Yung first match that wasn't any kind of match. It wasn't no squash, diba? It wasn't no short match, diba? So if any of you even think to drag these guys and make fun of them for thinking they're not good at what they do, this is really proof that WWE and by extension, AEW have some of the best wrestlers in the game right now.
Yeah, it's no joke what they did, diba? To wrestle for 30 minutes on live television, then to only have 1 hour to rest, then wrestle another 15 to 20 minutes on live TV. None of us here in this call can do that.
Yeah, not even me.
All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll cross over to AEW and talk about that turn from Don Callis. But first, another quick message from our other podcasts right here on Podcast Network Asia. Let's go and talk about AEW. Don Callis turned on Kenny Omega today, if you caught yung episode ng Dynamite kanina. And for those of you who've been following Dynamite weekly and religiously, you might have seen this coming, especially with how weird Don Callis has been acting around Kenny. Or maybe if you just noticed na Don Callis as a character, yung DNA niya is very slimy. Diba? Yung character DNA niya. So it kind of didn't really make sense for him to be a babyface, even though he and Kenny have had that long-standing bond. So for me as a viewer, I was like, all right, about damn time that this happened.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it was telegraphed, yes, but it wasn't those predictable turns that was satisfying in its predictability, because they never really built up to it. Like, they never did the big tease. That slowly built up to this moment finally happening. They just did the one thing where or the two things rather, where Don Callis didn't really stop the BCC from attacking Kenny and the Bucks. They did the thing with the ambulance thing. Pero it works, yeah. Like for the reason that you mentioned, that Don Callis was never supposed to be this babyface when the Elite turned face. So I guess it makes sense. I just don't know exactly where he would go from here. Does he go manage the BCC? Because I don't think he needs to do that, or I don't think the BCC need him. They got Brian for that. Because if he doesn't manage the BCC, he's going to be this weird third party that is going to make the entire story even more complex than it really should be. So I just don't know where they're going, and that kind of bothers me that I don't know where they're going.
For me, I knew this was coming. I called it a while ago. Even in the beginning stage of the storyline, I knew that Callis was gonna have plans to screw on the Elite, especially Kenny. But the execution was kind of meh. But the turn was okay. It was predictable. The interesting thing here now is Takeshita, because it was Callis who brought in Konosuke Takeshita to the Elite. So what happens there? Does Takeshita follow suit? Does he because I saw in the tag match a while ago na Takeshita was kind of still, he was still kind of friendly to the BCC members, and Brian was inviting him to be a member of the BCC. So that's the narrative to watch out for in the next few weeks, where his allegiance lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right about that. Kasi ganun din, hindi rin ako sure what's gonna happen to Don Callis kapag na-resolve na kung ano yung magiging direction niya. Because the last thing I want for someone like Don Callis, who can bring the heat, is for him to go by the way of Dan Lambert.
Yeah. People are wondering, to address Emil's Takeshita point, diba? Does that mean Takeshita's turning heel? Is he going to turn on the Elite? They did tease it about when last week when they had him stand between the two factions. I don't know. I kind of wanted to stay face. He's just so good as a face. I know that's going to give him a lot more, cash as a member of the AEW roster if he was a heel. But he's got too much baby energy to be a heel. I kind of want them to bring in Ibushi to be Don's guy. I know Golden Lovers. I know everyone wants that. It's been a while since Kenny has had Ibushi by his side. But I think there's a lot more reason for Ibushi to face off against Kenny again. For one, Kenny left him in New Japan. They were rivals after they initially teamed, and I think there are a lot of stories and nuances to plumb with a heel Ibushi versus face Kenny. That's gonna mess up the entire thing again. Like that's gonna be like three parties involved in the story. But I don't know. I think in a way they've managed to make that kind of stuff work, and all that is needed really is good matches from there.
What I kind of don't like about this is it makes the Young Bucks look like talagang chuwariwap lang sila ni Kenny Omega. Because now it's a Kenny-centric story, whereas nung simula, it was the BCC railing against what the Elite stood for.
No, it was always a Kenny story. It was Kenny. Brian's first, target was Kenny. It was always Kenny that the BCC were attacking. Nagkataon lang na the Young Bucks were also there, diba? They were always targeting him. See, Brian was always talking about him. And the Bucks were just an offshoot of what he did, even though it might be the other way around in real life. Diba? But
yeah.
If we remember, Kenny was always the main target because he was the big guy, the guy among the Elite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Brian's promos are very centric towards telling Kenny na he's everything that is wrong with the wrestling business. So I think Ro has a point there.
All right. Sige. Someone mentioned in the comments, I actually forgot about this, yun si Leo. Miro and Thunder Rosa showed up on AEW today. They haven't been seen on television in months. For Thunder Rosa, like close to a year, I guess. Or like half a year or close to a year. So, very weird to just bring them back like that na wala pa silang kalaban, wala silang story other than going into Tony Khan's office. But I guess they really want to do the slow burn thing here for both of them.
Yeah. The rumors are saying that it has something to do with the collision announcement. But I think they did those segments after Tony Khan made the announcement of his announcement. So I think that lines up.
Miro was early on before Tony Khan appeared.
Right. So he must have known. So it's a quiet way to bring them back, but I guess it doesn't take up a lot of TV time if you had them come back via big in-ring segment.
Yeah, like Miro didn't even say anything. See Thunder Rosa, she just teased na she was gonna talk to TK, then she entered the office. Then yun na. Yun.
Yeah. What if CM Punk returns the same way? Like he's gonna go to Tony Khan's office. Like yun lang, walang epic entrance. It's just him appearing, and then he's saying he's gonna go inside TK's office.
I don't know. I don't think that'll ever happen. I think that would be too silly to actually happen on TV.
Yeah,
I think even TK would know not to do that.
But he has to save CM Punk for like a big show.
Yeah, like the debut of Collision.
Debut of Collision.
Exactly.
Oh, the same way that he saved Punk for the second episode of Rampage.
Yeah.
Anything else, Nano? It was a good move.
Anything else?
From Dynamite?
No, I just heard a rumor earlier, na because of Collision, there's some hints that Rampage will be turning to like what was back then the Heat, WWF Heat, or Superstars or Main Event. So what are your thoughts about that?
If you've seen if you followed Rampage regularly, you would know that that's already how they treat the show. Like, no una, there was like, it was like, if you were around for like the debut of Main Event ng WWE and yung Superstars in WWE, they treated it like big deals back when it was new. Like they would put the big stars on it. Like you would see Randy Orton wrestle on Main Event, and I'm not kidding you. Those guys really did late 2000s and early 2010s. So that was how Rampage was at first, and then Tony Khan saw that it didn't really do well in the ratings, and then instead of trying to bolster Rampage deliberately by putting the stars on it, he just really forgot about it like a toy, like Woody. So it's really sad. It is what that is already. Like it's already Heat when Heat was a secondary show for Raw. Uh, Yun lang. I felt sad for it because it was a show I would regularly follow, and I thought that it had major storyline implications for Dynamite, and then it just didn't, So wala, sad lang. It's just another hour on the AEW slate, and when the 2 hour collision comes, I unfortunately can tell you that it's an hour that you don't have to watch anymore.
Yeah, the thing with Rampage is it does have some storyline implications na dinadala nila pabalik ng Dynamite. For example, Julia Hart and Anna Jay. Like, I didn't know that they were feuding until I saw yung recap na it was happening pala on Rampage or Dark or whatever, right? Only to find out na, they're gonna have their blow-off match here on Dynamite. So, it was kind of sad na, Rampage was just treated like that. And it's sad na they have to bring it back to Dynamite to remind us na relevant itong blow-off nitong sina Julia Hart and Anna Jay. I didn't even know that Anna Jay was face again, despite still being with the JAS. So there's a lot of confusion there on my part because I just stopped watching Rampage when I realized na it wasn't being treated with the same importance as Dynamite.
Yeah, on that note, they used to do these things where Orange Cassidy would show up on Rampage every week, and he would defend the then All-Atlantic Championship. But then they moved that entirely to Dynamite because, syempre, garapal si TK, he needs the best ratings on the main show instead of, spreading the players around and, doing load management, whatever have you. But he did that for a while, then he just gave up. It's sad because you shouldn't have given up. You could have done something about it. He could have just tried, and he just really moved on from it, like an ADHD kid. So really sad because I was a Rampage believer.
Mm-hmm. What did you guys think of the open house matches ng House of Black now that we've actually seen it on TV get executed?
Oh, I like it.
Sorry.
Really like it. I wish this would. This is why I wish the House of Black would retain the trio side for a long time because I really liked what I saw earlier and looking forward to more of it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, medyo palpak lang yung unang challenger stipulation where they ended up banning Julia Hart from ringside. But I think there's a lot of creativity, waiting to be used on that particular creative parameter. So I want to see more of it. I also hope that they carry over the style for future champions. Like, it shouldn't just be the House of Black. Say if you make people get used to this rule for trios championships, eventually you're gonna have to keep doing it for the rest of whoever the champions are gonna be.
Yeah, it's like a pure yung pure title rules or yung Manila rules match. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Anything from NXT that stood out to you guys this week?
Braun Breaker, he's continuing to really shine as a heel. And binarinig nga ako na they were, the WWE, the brass, they were trying to get him to the main roster. But since his heel character is new and they're liking the direction of it, they decided to let him cook as a heel in NXT for a while. And I think that was the right decision because I think he's really shining more now as a heel rather than him being a babyface when he was still the champion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On my end, I wanted to bring up yung NXT Women's Championship Tournament because this week they revealed who the 8 participants were, diba? And then nakita rin natin na nag-advance si Tiffany Stratton over Gigi Dolin. I believe it was Lyra Valkyria who also advanced in her first round matchup against... Crap, I'm forgetting who she advanced against. But Lyra Valkyria is advancing. So any early picks for the next NXT Women's Champion at Battleground?
Tiffany. I mean, Tiffany's like the next in line, I think, to win the title. So I'll go with Tiffany Stratton.
Mm-hmm. Ayun, Lyra Valkyria defeated Kiana James there.
I'm kind of agreeing with that because they seem to be really high on Tiffany because she has improved quite a bit from her early days as different sport athlete coming into wrestling. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tiffany won because the easier pick of Gigi already lost. Yeah. I could also see them putting it on Lyra because she is also like at this point the most experienced wrestler on this entire bracket. So if I were them, I would just give it to the relative veteran as well.
Yeah, looking at this, diba, it's easy to predict na kasi usually face-heel matchups, right? So if Tiffany won in her first round matchup, I guess it's safe to assume Roxanne wins in her matchup. And then Lyra Valkyria will need a heel, so she'll get Cora Jade. So that's probably your final four. And then I do see the possibility of Lyra beating Cora Jade and making it 2 battleground for the finals. Tapos nga, Tiffany Stratton over Roxanne Perez kind of does make sense. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing either of these women win.
Yep.
Definitely.
They're not gonna give it to Cora Jade because she's not that girl anymore. So I think Roxanne also was given just the quick championship because they needed to get rid of Mandy Rose. And Tiffany already won against Gigi. So there's that.
Yeah. Should be interesting as we march towards NXT Battleground the day after or hours after Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. All right, let's wind down here and let people know that if you want to be part of the Night of Champions viewing party, again, you can get your tickets at snack.ph/geektalkph. Ro, hindi ko kabisado yung prices, so I wasn't able to mention that earlier at the top of the show.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you guys, wala pa yung tickets on snack.ph. We're finalizing that lang, but it should be up soon. We already are confirmed with Hobby Stadium sa QC, and the prices when they go up are 400 pesos for early bird. Tapos if you decide to walk in, it's going to be 500. There will be toys given away by Hobby Stadium, so if y'all are fans of WWE action figures, for sure meron yan. There's also going to be free food and drink with your ticket. Syempre, we can't let you hang out with us after midnight without feeding and satisfying your thirst. So we're all gonna have fun. We're gonna have a party. It's gonna be a fun slumber party, watching wrestling, and we'll see you there. And we hope to see you there. So we're gonna get a new World Heavyweight Champion, y'all.
Yeah. Sana may mag-cosplay as Wendy Chu. Kasi bagay naman for the occasion.
Okay. I'd like to see Roman Reigns cosplay as Wendy Chu. Let's see if we can do that.
Sana makarating kay Roman Reigns guy na Wendy Chu yung theme mo sa Night of Champions. Let's get some plugs here. What's happening on your end, bro?
Wala pa. I have an announcement for an announcement. I don't know when I'm gonna make that announcement. I'm gonna announce that I'm gonna have another announcement. But I don't know when I'm gonna have that announcement. So stay tuned. There is a project in the works. You've seen my picture with Wrestling After Work host Abiel Anselmo. We are cooking something up. Yes, it is going to be wrestling related. It is going to be a podcast, but I will let you know when it's time for that announcement for an announcement.
Look at you going on TK mode right here, as Aaron points out. New MWF episodes are up on Gank, so go check that out. Yung first part of the show.
Pwede ka na mag-plug ng MWF.
Yeah. So go check it out. Yung pre-show is already up on Gank. ManilaWrestling.com if you want to subscribe for as low as $10 a month. Tama, diba? $10 a month.
Yeah.
I'm a bad ambassador.
$10. $10. That's around 640 or something in coins, which you can buy with your credit card, debit card, PayPal, I believe, and GCash. If you still have GCash after the recent hullabaloos.
So yun, go check that out. Lots of fun pre-show matches, syempre. And then if you want to catch yung mga ibang ganap na nangyari, just wait for it because MWF will be releasing that in bunches as always, leading up to the next show. Tickets are also available for that. QC Memorial Circle, June 4, 4:30 p.m. That should be a lot of fun. It's a very different experience. Hopefully, loads better than Manila Madness. If you know, you know.
Covered court din eh. So, I know. I mean, like, it's QC Memorial Circle. Everyone is, I mean, a lot of people are there, not like Manila Madness.
Kasi no Manila Madness, we had to displace people who
fire
were...
victims.
Yeah, fire victims. Jeez, that was horrible. Right, on my end, go check out On Deck with Stancy. New episode out. I talked about my radio anniversary this past week and about the anxiety heading into my return at MWF. So That's up. And next week naman, I'm doing a mailbag episode. So go send your questions in about radio, podcasting, hosting, or VO over to my Twitter or Instagram at _StanC. Let's see if we can answer those on the podcast. Make sure to follow the show at Wrestling2XPod on Twitter and on TikTok, and on Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify. It is at Wrestling Podcast. Thank you so much to the Babyface producers over at Podcast Network Asia. I know Babyface producer Jasper is at the controls for tonight, so go send him some love. And please watch out for our interview with Robbie Eagles. We'll be releasing that this weekend. So it's the annual tradition of having the Sniper of the Skies on the Wrestling Podcast.
But if you want to hear it already, I mean, like, you can subscribe to our Patreon for $5 and, you know, watch the entire Skype call. Which we posted for exclusively for patrons.
Yeah, so yun, may advance access na actually mga patrons namin. So very sulit naman talaga yung binabayad nila. Alright, we'll catch you next week for another live stream, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Facebook and on YouTube. Follow us individually at Chino Supersize, at Monday Night Rowan, at EML_Meister, at Roeswar, and at _StanC. On behalf of Emil ASH and Ro Moran, my name is Stan C, saying stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast. Out. Bye-bye.
Peace.